What's going on, everybody on the internet? How's it going? I'm back with a video, and instead of talking about a movie every week, I'm just going to talk about something. And this very something is going to be my official Oscar ballot video before the Oscars come out. And it's currently the 10th, 3 days before the Oscars. It's the Friday, and I have not seen nearly everything that I wanted to see. I've got through all the best pictures, first time I've done that, but there's still like a good 20 movies that I haven't seen, most of them being shit that's nominated for like individual single Oscars that I just don't have the time to see. So, but I mean, I'll talk about those when I talk about those. With this video, I'm just gonna tell you guys what I think will win the Oscar. It's just my Oscar ballot. What I think is gonna win, what I do not want to win, and what I personally want to see win. So I'm gonna try to keep this as concise and easy to follow as possible. It shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so we're gonna just start off. I've got Photoshop open here. Just gonna do this in camera because I hate editing, and I think editing each thing is gonna be a fucking nightmare. So first, we're gonna start actor in a leading role. The only two movies I have not seen are After Sun and Living, just because those are either like rentals or just straight up not playing in my area. I don't think I could see Living right now if I even tried to. But I did see The Whale and Elvis, and I already talked about Banshees of Inisherin in my recap video. But The Whale, I think Brendan Fraser definitely carried that movie the hardest. I think he's like the only real shining thing to really enjoy about The Whale. And kind of the same thing goes for Elvis. Austin Butler is like the closest thing to redeeming quality about Elvis. And you'll hear me bitch and complain about Elvis throughout the rest of this video, but I'm going to predict that they do give it to Brendan Fraser because he's been sweeping, and as easy as it also is to see him win, or to see Austin Butler win for Elvis, given that's like the most generic pick they could do, I do not want him to win. Just out of spite, I think. I think just giving it to the biopic actor is a cheap move that, you know, they've been doing like every year for the past 10 years, I think. But my personal pick, Colin Farrell for Banshees, because he is truly awesome in that role. We're going to go actor in a supporting role. So we got Brendan Gleeson and Barry Keoghan for Banshees. Both fantastic, I think. Both awesome. Ki-Hugh Kwan in Everything Everywhere, who is also even more fantastic, I think. He is such a delight to see in the movie, and definitely my favorite part of the movie. Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, who has 8 minutes of screen time, but definitely steals the scenes he's in. And Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, which I didn't see, but I like Brian Tyree Henry a lot, so it's cool to see him nominated. Now, I think that Ki-Hugh Kwan's going to win, because he's the only one being talked about for this category. Barry Keoghan won for BAFTA, but that's also the British award, so they're kind of biased, I guess. And nobody else has even like been in discussion. Personally, I don't want to see Judd Hirsch win. He was great in the movie, but in terms of supporting role for minimal amount of screen time, I think David Lynch absolutely steals the entire movie when he shows up in The Fabelmans. And anybody who's seen The Fabelmans can agree with that, like, for real. And my personal pick is going to be Ki-Hugh Kwan, because he's the best. I think he's the best pick. You know, I genuinely think he was, like, fantastic. The emotional range he pulls off, from being, like, goofy, clueless dad to serious, you know, agent of the multiverse, to same goofy dad, but he's going through a divorce, was honestly the biggest surprise of the year, I think, especially for someone who has been out of the game for as long as he has. So I truly hope he wins. Next up, we've got actress in a leading role, and for that we've got Cate Blanchett in Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere. Now, I did not see To Leslie or Blonde, frankly, because I think To Leslie's also very limited in terms of watchability right now. And Blonde sounds like 3 hours of just questionable filmmaking and characterization. And I don't feel like I'm ready for that. What you doing? Don't Go for the trash, Minnie. Turn it around. But in terms of Cate Blanchett, Michelle Williams, and Michelle Yeoh, I like all their performances a lot. What are you doing, Minnie? Stop it, Minnie! You're just demanding my attention, aren't you? You're so gross. You're just in my business, Minnie. Minnie, you can't get any more on me than you already are. Stop. You're so gross. Anyway, yeah, Cate Blanchett, absolutely, like, definitely worth the hype. She's fantastic. Michelle Williams, I think, is definitely not in the correct category. She's definitely a supporting actress. But I think she signed a contract to where she was like, you put me in the goddamn best actress, leading actress role. What do you want? And, you know, she's great, but she's definitely no lead. And Michelle Yeoh's on par with Cate Blanchett. So it's hard for me to pick between the two, and if I can fucking get my arm over to my mouse. Personally, right? Okay, no, this is, okay. So I think that Cate Blanchett is gonna... Are you done? You're leaving? Cate Blanchett is gonna take the trophy. I would like to see Michelle Yeoh take it. And as for who I do not want to see when I don't want to see Michelle Williams, I don't want to see Ana de Armas as much as I love her and what she's been in. I don't think Blonde's the right move. I'm not going to vote for it, given I haven't seen it for myself. But Michelle Williams, I think, is also just in the wrong category. That's my main reason for not wanting her to see her with the trophy. And that Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh are leagues more fantastic, I think. Now we have actress in a supporting role with Angela Bassett from Black Panther, Hong Cho from The Whale, Barry Condon from Banshees, and Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere. All three of these I've seen. And it's pretty solid picks. I'd say the only one I have a big issue with is Jamie Lee Curtis, because I feel like it's just throwing her that career Oscar bone. Most people forget that she's in Everything Everywhere, you know, like, one of my coworkers heard that she got nominated, and he was so confused as to why she got nominated for Halloween Ends, and that was his reaction. He forgot that she was in Everything Everywhere. She's good in the movie, don't get me wrong, but I don't think this is her nomination to win. But I do think that it could swing for Jamie Lee Curtis because it's, you know, like a legacy vote, you know, like such a long career, you know, ever since, you know, debuting in 1978. She's been in everything, everywhere. But this just ain't it. You can give it to Carrie Condon. I think she is the best out of these nominees. Angela Bassett was also good. She has a solid chance given she's already won, I think, like a Globe, I think. But Carrie's my pick for who I think it's going to win. And I personally want to see Stephanie Hsu win because I thought she was fantastic as well, especially for a new one. And again, I don't want to see Jamie win. And yeah, that's what I'm going with. Next up, Best Animated Feature. Best Animated Film. We got Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. I have not seen The Sea Beast. All the other ones I've seen and talked about in my recap of the year video. To be honest, when I rewatched Marcel the Shell the other night, it really made me violently think about who I want to see win. The debate can be talked about over and over again on if Marcel the Shell is animated or not. And it's, you know, it's a decent enough conversation to have because it's a very gray area given that, like, the Lego Movie was not qualified even though it had less live action elements. But I'm biased and I loved Marcel the Shell a whole lot. So that's that's my argument. But my honest pick is going to be Pinocchio for the win because that's been sweeping. There hasn't even been another animated movie even like in conversation to compete with Pinocchio. It's just been Pinocchio. So they'd be kind of insane to give it to any other movie. Even though I do love, you know, Marcel, Puss in Boots, and Turning Red all a lot, to not give it to Pinocchio this year would be kind of insane. That would be kind of an upset. But my personal pick is still going to be, Pinocchio. I think just on the basis of like the level of care that Del Toro has put into Pinocchio is incredible and astounding, and every single frame and every single like second of animation you can tell was poured into. And Del Toro gets huge props from me anyway for crediting all the animators first before the actors. That's a Chad move right there. And who I do not want to see win out of the ones I haven't seen, if I were to pick one out of all of them, it'd be the Sea Beast, but I didn't see it. It's gonna go Turning Red, because I don't want to see Disney just cheaply walk away with this one, because then that'll really confirm the Oscars just Disney bias more than ever, I think. We're gonna go on to cinematography with All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. I did not see Bardo because that is 3 hours long, and I did not see Empire of Light because I've heard that is just not very good, very, very mid at best. And I know my partner wants to see it a lot, but we just haven't gotten to it yet. But in terms of All Quiet on the Western Front, Elvis, and Tar, I think the only one that I can see winning is All Quiet on the Western Front. That's going to be my vote for what wins and for what I want to win, because it's the best looking movie out of this bunch, out of the ones I've seen. And as much as I do like Tar for how well that one looks too, the one I hate the most is Elvis, because there's just no cinematography in that one. The camera just does not stop cutting, does not stop swinging around artificial like buildings and stuff. It just doesn't feel like the camera was ever doing anything except cutting to multiple different shots of Austin Butler and his dick and Tom Hanks in his fat suit. Like, there's just nothing there for me to really like soak in and admire about the cinematography of Elvis. Kind of an absurd nomination, if you ask me. I think that's the one I hate the most. Costume design, we have Babylon, Black Panther 2, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. I have not seen Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, so that's just out of discussion. But this group here, I don't have any real issue with any of them. I think there's like a few bad costumes in Black Panther, but if I were to pick one that I think is gonna win, I think it's gonna go to Elvis. If I were to pick a personal favorite, I think it would be Babylon or Everything Everywhere, but I'm gonna go with Everything Everywhere because it's certainly the most fun compared to Babylon. Babylon's very like 1920s fancy attire.
Minnie, you're laying on the power strip. I swear, Minnie, please, you're laying on the power strip of my entire PC setup. Minnie, you're gonna electrocute your... Minnie, careful. Okay, thank you, Minnie.
Everything Everywhere has the most fun compared to Babylon, especially given that Babylon is mostly just 1920s attire, kind of nothing super unique about it. Out of the ones I guess I don't want to win, it's going to be Black Panther, because again there are a few, it won the last one. Black Panther justifiably won costume design 5 years ago, but I think we can give it to any of these other ones. Moving on to Best Director, we have Martin McDonagh for Banshees, Daniels for Everything Everywhere, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, Todd Field for Tar, and Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. I've seen all of these, so I can certainly say that these were all very well directed. Of my favorites, it's gonna be between Spielberg and Daniels, because it takes a good couple of maniacs to direct something as manic and dense as Everything Everywhere, and it takes someone who knows a lot about the care that goes into filmmaking to make something like The Fabelmans, which Spielberg definitely has the gusto for. Now, I think a lot of people say that, Everything Everywhere is just going to sweep everything. I don't think it will. I think that, with Spielberg being, Spielberg, his, personal story as a film, I think they might throw him for directing, and I think it's honestly kind of deserved, because it is a fantastically well directed movie. I don't think anybody knows how to direct quite like Spielberg does. grunting down there. As much as I do want to see Daniels win, I do think Spielberg has an edge over them. Anyway, but who I do not want to see win, there's no real bad pick. There's no bad pick for who I don't want to see win. It certainly takes a weirdo to make something like Triangle of Sadness, and Todd Field for, this being his first, major film, to direct something as, well executed as Tar and Martin McDonagh, back to making funny, depressing Irish comedies. I think my pick for least favorite would be Ruben. He's kind of the outlier, I think, in this category, as much as I did enjoy Triangle of Sadness. Documentary feature. I've only seen Fire of Love. That's the only one I got to. I did see that All the Beauty and the Bloodshed won something, so I think they might give it to that. Or Fire of Love, given that this is the only one I've seen, it's got my pick. And it's pretty damn good, too. What I don't want to see win is... I don't even know anything about these other nominations. So I can't even pick which one I don't want to see win. Because I've only seen one, so I can't even, hate on any of these other ones. So, skipping. A documentary short subject, I have seen two. I've seen Halut and Stranger at the Gate. And what I think is gonna win is Stranger at the Gate, because it's that type of shit that would win this category, I think. Now, me personally, I liked Halut a lot because it's 20 minutes. It's the shortest of the bunch. And it says quite a lot without saying, much of anything at all. Now, what I don't want to win is also Stranger at the Gate, because you take this story about some guy, some would-be terrorist who's about to, blow up a mosque in his city because, he's such a jaded war vet. He hates any person who's not white. And then you turn this serious subject into a sob story redemption about him. It just incredibly distastefully, framed and edited. It's kind of, infuriating watching all these people talk about how great of a guy this is immediately after he says he wanted to blow everybody up. It's kind of disgusting, if you ask me. Film editing. We have Banshees, Elvis, Everything Everywhere, Tar, and Top Gun. Which, the only one I really hate is Elvis, because it's such a exhausting film to sit through. For that reason, because it's got the most manic editing, it's gonna go to Elvis. Now, personally, I want to see it go to Everything Everywhere because, there's a reason for it to be as insane as it is. And it's done well, without being so unnecessarily absurd. It does so many quick, fast cuts so effortlessly and so seamlessly, too. And if you really pay attention, you notice so much is done so fucking well. And Elvis just feels like it's doing this just to be cool and stylish and flashy, which Elvis was, but when your movie is 2.5 hours long and it's edited like a TikTok fan cam, it's exhausting, and I just don't, and it doesn't give me time to care about anything that's happening. So it's definitely my least favorite edited out of any of these. I'll throw a fit if it does win, even though it's probably gonna win. Now, international feature, I have only seen All Quiet on the Western Front and EO. Both of these films are pretty fantastic. EO being about a cute little donkey going around watching people do stuff and learning that humanity sucks, which it does. And All Quiet being the war film that is also in the Best Picture category, which is why, because of that, I think it's going to win, and why I think it is deserved of that, because it's also just a pretty fantastic movie, too, if you ask me. I haven't seen Argentina or Close or The Quiet Girl. I heard Close is kind of just basic drama fanfare for one person, I think. So that'd be my pick, but I haven't seen it. So, and I'm not gonna vote for EO to be, the one I don't want to win, because that'd be fun if it did win. I'm just not gonna pick a least favorite. Makeup and hairstyling. We have All Quiet on the Western Front, Batman, Black Panther, Elvis, and The Whale. 3 of these movies have a fat suit, which is why I don't think Black Panther is gonna win at all. You have 3 fat suits, all of them fantastically made. As like problematic as stuffing like like Colin Farrell into a fat suit, he was fucking fantastic underneath that. But I think that the Whale is gonna take it because if you look into like what went into that makeup, it's a 300-pound suit. So Brendan had to work and like perform in that extremely heavy suit, which I think lends itself to the performance as well, instead of just disguising Colin Farrell as some Italian ugly mob boss or disguising Tom Hanks as this freak. And All Quiet is also a really good pick too, because of how just natural all the mud and the dirt looks. This is like the muckiest and dirtiest application of makeup I've seen since like Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones. I think that one might be my pick for what I want to win. That way we don't have to deal with the conversation of a fat suit winning, as much as I do think the Whale is also deserving of it. And I don't want to see Elvis win just out of spite. Just out of spite. And just because I don't want to see like clips of like Austin Butler in his fat suit or Tom Hanks just being a weirdo at the Oscars. Original score, I've seen all these, and I gotta say, Everything Everywhere, pretty forgettable. All Quiet has this weird like blah, blah, blah going on that feels out of place, and I don't remember the Banshees score, to be honest. It's been a while since I've seen that one. As much as I love a lot about it, I don't remember the score, and I haven't listened to it. Babylon, now that's a score right there. That is the best out of this bunch for sure, and I think it's gonna win because Justin Hurwitz killed it with the score. As much as I do think The Fabelmans has just about an equal shot, because it's like that perfect schmaltzy that the Academy loves. I think The Fabelmans will take it just because it is, it's got such a perfect energy level to it. And it's my personal pick too. Now what I don't want to win, I like The Fabelmans score. I don't remember Banshee, and I'm kind of mixed on All Quiets. And I don't really want to see it win. I think it's, its technical nominations are well deserved, but for score, I don't think so. We are to original song, which I have not listened to. Applause from Tell It Like a Woman. That's one of the movies I didn't see because it was nominated for Best Original Song, and that's it. But Hold My Hand, I think is fantastic. Lift Me Up is pretty solid. It's fine. I'm not much of a Rihanna fan. Natu rules, and This Is a Life I don't like. I don't like that one. And I think that they might actually give it to Natu because that was just such an uproarious song that was talked about all year. As much as I do think they could give it to like Lift Me Up or Hold My Hand, I want to say they'll give it to Hold My Hand, but Lady Gaga's not going to be there because she's filming Joker 2, which is such a wild choice to make. Perform Hold My Hand at the Oscars or film Joker 2. Weird pick, Gaga, but I think they might get to Natu. That one's definitely held up the most in conversation throughout the whole year, I think. It's also my pick too. It's either this or Hold My Hand that I want to see win. But Natu is just so much fun. And I like This Is a Life the least. It's not that good of a song. Production design. We have All Quiet, Avatar, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans. All these I think are pretty fucking great nominations. I think the weakest is The Fabelmans, just because, like Babylon and Elvis did the same time period just as well, if not better.
Meaning you're getting dangerously close to just unplugging stuff again.
And it's kind of a tough choice because, again, it's the same time period they're all doing. They're all doing it very well. Elvis spends most of its time in a hotel, which is why I think, it's the least favorite for me, but it definitely does 19 like 40s or 50s or 30s, whatever, Depression era Alabama or fucking whatever. You know, the beginning of the movie where it's like dirty and gross. I think that does that time the best. But I think they'll give it to The Fabelmans. Because, again, that movie looks pretty good, but my personal pick is All Quiet because the production design for the trenches and the battlefield is so it's pretty fantastic. It's pretty well done, and it's just mucky, disgusting, filthy, and you just feel the jungle rot and the gangrene coming in. You know, better than what 1917 did. And what I do not want to see win, it's weird because Avatar did such incredible things for its production design to better the visual effects. There's not like a definitive bad winner here, right? There's no like one that I hate more. The Fabelmans, I guess, but the way Spielberg moves that camera around the set, I think is still fantastic. So it's a tough pick for me to say which one I don't want to see win, because I think I'd be okay with all of these, but I'm gonna give it to Elvis because I hate Elvis and I'm biased and don't want to see Elvis win anything. Animated short film this is the first time I've seen any of these short films, unless like a Pixar short got nominated, but none came out this year. So I saw all of these in one sitting, and I gotta say it was pretty fun watching these. I honestly recommend watching the animated short films when those get announced next year or even this year, because these are all pretty great, save for a few of them. But The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, I fucking hate because it's so schmaltzy and Winnie the Pooh-y and kind of insufferable to sit through. Because every quote every one of these characters says wants to be like the box quote or the pull quote on the letterbox reviews that people use. What you do when you're scared? Oh, what I do when I'm scared is I just believe. And it's so stupid. They're all so Hallmark gift card quotes, and I hate it. It's trying too hard to be wholesome, which is why I think it's gonna win. Like, it's gonna be that one. They're not gonna give it to My Year of Dicks. They're not gonna give it to the Ice Merchants. They're not gonna give it to any of them. They're gonna give it to The Boy, the blah, 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 blah. And I'm ready to be pissed off about it. But what I want to see win is My Year of Dicks, because I thought that was genuinely the best one. It's a coming-of-age story about, exploring yourself. And it's funny. It's a good watch, It's great. I don't know why this is the one that's R-rated, because the flying sailor has full frontal male nudity. Like, the sailor hangs penis in it. It's the only penis I've seen clearly in any of these movies. Which it's also, the flying sailor is also not good. It's like my number 2 pick for what I don't want to win, but I hated the Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse like so much more. Flying Sailor was just too short to explore what it wanted to do. Ice Merchants is fantastic, and so is An Ostrich Told Me the World Is Fake. Go see those ones. Go see Ice Merchants, Dicks, and The Ostrich, because those were fantastic. And they're all like 20 minutes max. Live action short film, I've also seen all of these, and I gotta say, only one of these I really don't like, and I'll talk about that here in a second. What I think is going to win, it's either a toss-up between An Irish Goodbye and The Red Suitcase, both fantastic. Irish Suitcase being about like a girl, a Muslim girl who gets sent to, I think it's Amsterdam, to get married to some old guy for an arranged marriage his dad set up. She makes the decision to just ditch him at the airport and run away from home. And I honestly wish it could have been longer, but for its runtime, it did exactly what it wanted to do. It said exactly what it wanted to say, and it did it really well. Irish Goodbye being about 2 Irish brothers, one of them with Down syndrome, like trying to cope with the death of their mother and figure out what they're going to do next, especially, with, now that they have a farm to try and sell or to take care of themselves. And, it's really good and really funny too. I recommend finding that one out of all of these. It's certainly my favorite, but I think they might give it to The Red Suitcase. because that one's just a bit more topical. But my honest pick would be An Irish Goodbye. And what I don't want to win out of the rest of these is Night Ride, because that one was 16 minutes of just such like distasteful story decisions and character decisions, and 8 minutes of a hate crime, right? This woman steals a trolley, like a tram, completely on accident, even though she could have stopped, and witnesses a hate crime against a trans woman, watches it happen for half the fucking runtime, and then decides to take action because she's a good person. And it's just, yeah, blatant, you're just witnessing a hate crime only in service to develop the straight character, like the cis woman, which it's kind of, again, also kind of just icky and distasteful. And I didn't need to watch a hate crime happen for 8 minutes just to see this, just to see this, like, bystander decide on what to do and what's right, even though she ignored most of it. Kind of gross if you ask me. Sound design. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun. All pretty solid choices, save for Elvis. I think Elvis only made it because that's got music in it, and that's the easy nomination for that movie. But Avatar, All Quiet, Batman, and Top Gun, I think, are all deserving choices, especially given how much heavy machinery is present in all those movies. But I think they're gonna give it to either All Quiet or Top Gun, because those are the war movies. But All Quiet is kind of like the bigger one, or the more like impactful one in terms of its sound design. Personally, I do think I want to see that one win. It'd be funny if Avatar won it, but I don't want to see Elvis win. Genuinely this time, not just because I hate it. I just think it's the least deserving of these ones. On to visual effects. Here, I'm just going to breeze through this one. There we go. There we go. And now I just have to justify which one I don't want to win. All Quiet was pretty solidly visual effectified, given it's, a German Netflix movie. The Batman looked pretty well for its budget. Welcome back, dog. Dog's back. Top Gun also, they convinced me they were flying those planes, but they were flying different ones. You miss hanging out, huh? Dog's back. And where am I? Yeah. Top Gun convinced me that they're flying the old planes instead of like the new ones that are safer and much more reasonable to have highly paid actors fly around in. But Black Panther is definitely the outlier, given that one genuinely looks bad at times. I mean, of last year's Marvel movies, I think that one does look the best. I think Doctor Strange is a bit more, actually sound. But if you just remember the Ironheart suit in that movie, that thing looked so awful on screen. So that's why I don't want to see it win. But I don't have to worry because they're gonna give it to Avatar. Why the fuck would they not give it to Avatar? James Cameron, revolutionized computer graphics for the third time, or the fourth time. Are you kidding me? Why would they not give it to Avatar? If they don't give it to Avatar, it'll be the most absurd thing the Academy has done in a while. Adapted screenplay. We have All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun, and Women Talking. And the goofy pick here would be Glass Onion, but I haven't seen Living, so I can't talk about that one. And what I think they're going to give it to is Women Talking. Now, of these picks, I think All Quiet and Women Talking are definitely the best. But I think Women Talking is my pick. And I don't want to see win. Glass Onion would be funny if it won. Again, there's no definitive bad choice here, I think. I'm gonna pick Glass Onion because that's also it's the outlier. It's a good screenplay, but I think you could have picked a better one. Now for original screenplay, we have The Banshees, Everything Everywhere, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness, which again, there's no bad pick in this category. There's no bad option. But what I want to see win is what I think is gonna win first might be Everything Everywhere. That one might edge it out over The Fablemans just because it's either Fablemans or Everything Everywhere. Fablemans is such an original screenplay, and it's something that, like, you know, audiences just haven't experienced before. It's also Steven Spielberg's, like, love letter to cinema and life, and not his parents. But I think I want to see The Fablemans win because I like that one quite a bit too. I'm like flip-flopping on which one I like more between Everything Everywhere or The Fablemans. Now, what I don't want to see win, I think, would be Triangle of Sadness. Because just based on the fact that I like Tar and the Banshees more, right? I think Tar's like a better put together screenplay. I like Triangle more than Tar, I think, but Tar's, I think, definitely tightly better written. Which now leaves us to the final category, Best Picture, with All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar 2, Banshees, Elvis, Everything Everywhere, The Fablemans, Tar, Top Gun, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. Now, All Quiet on the Western Front, classic war movie, classic war bad movie, very well made, deserves its nomination. Avatar 2, the absolute funniest out of these nominations. If it wins come Sunday night, I'm going to lose my mind, because I will just use that as ammunition to annoy everybody on the planet. Avatar 2, I think, is great. Does not deserve a Best Picture nomination, I personally think, but it's so funny that I got one. Banshees of Inisherin, fantastic movie. I love that one a lot. Elvis, I can't stand. It's the predictable Best Picture Academy Awards winner. Everything Everywhere is shocking that it made it into as many categories as it did. I thought it was going to get quietly snubbed out of everything, you know, over the summer. The Fablemans is the movie about movies movie that got nominated, which I think it deserves its nomination. Tar was fantastic. I love Cate Blanchett in that movie. Top Gun Maverick, I knew was going to get nominated, and I'm still happy and excited to see that it did. Triangle of Sadness is the absurdist rich people are stupid and bad movie, which I think is funny, and Women Talking being the period piece about sexual assault. But more importantly, it's the period piece drama that the Academy would have nominated given any other year. Just this one happens to be topical. Now, I don't think any of these nominations definitely don't deserve their nominations, right? This is the first Oscars I can personally say where, you know, there's no definitively bad choice unless you specifically hate a movie, right? You know, there's no Green Book, there's no Joker, you know, there's no objectively weird pick that the Academy or people would like scratch their heads at why this won over this. Now, of course, you can make any argument, you know, like Elvis or Avatar, right, being like the two what the fuck movies being like the winner, with like Elvis being like the predictable choice. To cut down to brass tacks, I think The Fablemans is gonna win. It's the classic, where is it? It's the classic movie about movies love letter about Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest living directors of all time, blah, blah, blah. It's his coming-of-age story, and it's pretty fantastic at the same time. But I'm gonna be the guy. You can see that I've got Tom Cruise watching over me, so out of obligation, I have to pick Top Gun. It's the movie that brought people back to the movies for real. You can say Spider-Man made $1 billion in December, but it didn't remind people that movies are actually good. Instead of people are back at the movies now, instead of back going to see Marvel movies. You know, you see a Marvel movie regardless of whether it's in theaters or not. But Top Gun brought people back and remembered that, like, yeah, movies can be awesome sometimes. And it's definitely the best thing I've seen. And I think it deserves it. And out of obligation, because of how much I hate Elvis, I don't want to see Elvis win. Because that's boring, that's predictable, and I hated it the most. I think it's a bad movie. Now, would I be upset if any of these other movies won? Not at all. Again, this is a pretty solid year for Oscar nominations. I'm like one of few people who hate Elvis as much as I do, right? Like, there's no like absurd outlier nominee this year, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? It's a pretty great year for the Academy. They're picking movies that people like and movies that are genuinely great. This is like the first time I can say like the Academy like picked the right stuff. Like Nope should have gotten nominations too, but am I surprised that it didn't? Not really. I certainly think Nope lost out on its technical nominations that it deserves just as much as some of these other picks, but some of these other picks are also pretty fantastic too. And I only just don't want to see Elvis win out of all of these because I have a personal hatred towards that movie. I know a lot of people who loved it. I think the only reason why people don't want to see certain movies is because they have a certain personal vendetta against them. Which is why I think this year's nominations list is great, and why come Sunday night it'll be kind of awesome to see what takes home the trophies. And that's all. That's my Oscar ballot. That's all I've got to say. I think it'll be an interesting show come Sunday, and it'll be fantastic. I'm excited to see the Oscars this year. There's no Coda that's gonna win. There's no Green Book. It's gonna be a good show. I want to. Hey, thanks for watching. That's the Oscar ballot that I've got going on. Thanks for watching. Tune in Sunday to my Twitch channel on the end card because I'm gonna be streaming a live commentary of the Oscars. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna be doing it with a good friend of mine who is also just as excited to see this award show as me. And it'll be a good time, crack jokes. I've got a bingo card that I'm gonna do, so it'll be fun. Tune into my Twitch, and thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. It's not gonna be a review. I think I'm just gonna dedicate to making, just discussion pieces like video essays about specific movies instead of just a weekly review, because that's just proven to be exhausting. Anyway, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the other stuff people ask you to do, and see you at the Oscars.